Good morning once again. Thank you for joining us today at Eastern News 24. I see the bike and konye chiri ya zelu. I see the bossing kata adru nama. Na ya dike chine chada agwagu. Ocha kuro chako ya derere. Ise. Ediko sidi. Unu na yini rwakupo. Onye na funi rwakupo bo Mrs. Ada Biafra. Alright. O wole foku ni rwakupo. I wetelu unu. Makana nwanne gbara nwanne ya egbe n'ọkpa ebe ya na ya na-achụ nta si n'ọkpa ya dị ka ọkpa ene ọ bụrụ ezigbo nwanne ọ na na-otu ụmụ Igbo. Yes, gee ntị n'ihe Ada Biafra kwuru gbasịta maka Biafran Prime Minister. O wutere m nnukwu mana mma napụ nke unu ga-ya bụ ife ka unu kwuo ife nche n'udo nke unu gbasịta maka ihe ndị a niile okwu. Alright, over to you.
What has been at the forefront of the minds of Southeasterners is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu going to be released? That question came up during the presidential visit. It has come up during various interviews that we've conducted across the Southeast region. So I'd like to come to you, Ada Biafra. What do you make of this? Do you think that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu would regain his freedom under this present administration?
Yes, as long as Nnamdi is still alive, and as long as Biafrans are still in Nigeria, Nnamdi will be released. For the great Chukwuokike Abiyama that made Nnamdi Kanu and made him a Biafran is with him wherever he is. And he will not leave him until he's released. I am optimistic, very, very, very optimistic that he will be released. Under this government, Nnamdi will come out.
What makes you so optimistic?
Number one is that he's still alive. He's not dead. And number two is that Nigeria is still Nigeria. And number three is that God still kept some people in this territory that is called Biafra. And number four is that though we are Nigerian citizens, we are still indigenous people of Biafra. God has not left us. And there was an election. And both the Igbos, the Biafrans, the Nigerians, the Hausas, the Yorubas, the Fulanis, they partook in the election that brought what is his name? Emilokon, President Tinubu into power. And I know that Tinubu is president to all. So Nnamdi will come out.
All right, let's come to you now, Igwe. Do you agree with what we've heard from Ada Biafra this morning? And what do you think Nigeria has learned from the events of the Nigerian Civil War? Has Nigeria, in fact, learned anything?
Well, I'll come from this perspective. Let me go back a bit. Biafra as a word, as a right, people should understand that it's not a creation of war. It's always been there. We have the right of Biafra, right of Benin. These are people, common people from common backgrounds, though our tongues might differ. But Biafra is not a creation of war. Whether anybody removes it from the plan or not, it's not about war. So Biafra is there. Now, coming to your question directly, Nnamdi Kanu ought to have been released. Not whether I'm optimistic of whether he would be released. He ought to have been released because even the apex court in the country had made a pronouncement that there was no prima facie case as far as he was charged. Ordinarily, he should have been released. But because the law isn't really operating, not within this regime anyway, he was still in incarceration and new charges coming up while he was being detained. He had already been discharged of all he was charged of. He shouldn't have continued to be there except he had committed any other offense. You know? So, having said that, I so much believe that this regime should be able to release him, should be able to look at the advantages of releasing him to come soothe the nerves of people. I keep telling people, and I pray God that He will help me, don't push your people to a level they will begin to think safer dead. You know, I don't know how many of you that read a number of James Hadley Chase. There was this book he wrote, which I read, Safer Dead. When you push people to begin to think that they are better dead than living, the security situation is always so difficult to manage. Because you are coming to a people or a certain group of persons who already believed that it was better dead. You know? So, having said this, I encourage the government of Nigeria to please release that young man. On point of law, he's been discharged by the Apex Court of Nigeria. He shouldn't still be there. Let us release him and begin to look at some other things that could be the cause of insurrection. Very important. Then your other question, whether we have learned a lesson from there. There are numerous lessons from the war, but whether we learned it is doubtful. If we had learned the lessons that the war taught us, we shouldn't be in the mess we are. Our society is so murky these days because we didn't learn anything from the war. Unfortunately, people wrongly are trying to suppress history. And once we suppress history, not trying to let people understand what happened, you might not be doing the correct thing. Leadership becomes so effective. I'm a leader, one. Leadership becomes more effective when you are seen to be taking responsibility. This is done under my watch. It shouldn't have been done. I'm sorry about that. Oh, this is done under my watch. It should have been done. You take responsibility. You know, we should stop behaving like the ostrich. Once the ostrich hides its head, the ostrich thinks it's covered.
It's covered everything.
But every other part of the body is being seen. You know, so a number of lessons. If I've had the opportunity of occupying the Apex position, I would have managed the situation differently.
All right.
Like I have always told you, I don't know.
Okay.
I have always said it in different media houses.
Yes.
Yes, you can't delete Biafra. But I want to tell Biafrans that I want a more psychological Biafra than physical Biafra.
All right. Let me quickly get the thoughts of Ada Biafra on the issue. You supported the end to sit at home in Enugu. So I would like to know what your immediate reaction would be to the arrest of Simon Ekpa.
Yeah, I think I was here, and I supported the arrest. I supported. I was crying and I was wailing. I was begging that those of them in the authority should get hold to Simon Ekpa. Because I made Simon the coordinator of Biafrans in Finland. I made him the coordinator. But he turned around. You see, when the value of a thing is not known, abuse is highly inevitable. Simon came in from the angle of destruction. That was not what we were preaching for. We were just asking Nigerians to allow us be. We are here. For God has created us and placed us here in a land that is flowing with milk and honey. And the enemies don't want us to stay. And we asked, what were we going to do? Or what are we going to do? If my enemy wants me to die, or he's playing a music that will take me to the other side, Must I dance to that music? So because Simon was everything that the enemies wanted for us. So I love the arrest. And of course, you know that since that arrest, a kind of calm, a kind of normalcy is returning here. And I championed the end to sit at home. Because
That's right.
Igwe,
That's right. Okay, let me come to you, and that's on the issue of diversity. Nigeria is a multi-ethnic, multi-tribal country. Do you think that there's now need for the country to manage its diversity better? There are countries of the world that are much more diverse than Nigeria. The US is quite a diverse society. Even the United Kingdom, this is quite a diverse society. The former Prime Minister is not a pure white man. The current person there also the same. So talk to us about managing our diversity to our own good here in the country.
Yeah, eventually, it's so unfortunate that what should be our strength weakens us. Our diversity should be our strength. And having said that, I recommend these two books, Why Nations Fell, written by two professors, Professor Semogolu and Professor Robinson. I also recommend From Third to First World, written by Ekpa'S. Multi-ethnic diversity in a nation shouldn't be a curse. It should be a sort of strength. Let me tell you this. Singapore is more, could be as many ethnic country as Nigeria. But one thing happened. Something happened between the Chinese Singaporeans and the Malays. There was a kind of crisis while Ekpa'S was sitting there. He allowed the law be. Ekpa'S himself was a Chinese Singaporean. The person who was found guilty was a Chinese Singaporean. He didn't say this is from my ethnic group. The law took its course. And that is one of the reasons. You know, I was in Cuba, and we asked them what was their source of strength for withstanding the blockade for over 50 years. They told us, though black and white, you see them here physically, but they are not existing. Which means everybody is treated equally, down to the education, where you have HND holders and BSc holders enjoying the same condition of service. It's unfortunate that when we come back here, I don't know what discrimination feels some people. In all endeavors, HND, BSc, you see somebody at lower grade hating the other person because he has HND. It doesn't, and their system was running. So, I have said this, and just like I said, I want a more psychological, a more non-physical Biafra by boundary. Our politicians, we have the capacity, the Igbo nation has the capacity to be the Silicon Valley of the entire Nigeria. We have the capacity to become the international hub for technology innovation. We should do that. Those things, we might not even know that Abuja is there. It's a possibility.
When you say psychological Biafra, could you provide more clarity? Because I would really like Ada Biafra to react to that idea.
Let me tell you what I mean by psychological Biafra. If you get America, America is almost 52 countries as big as Nigeria under one leadership. But they have a true federalism. In that true federalism, they are not divided. Everybody looks at what he has the comparative advantage of. If you come to Silicon Valley, Why are they even named silicon? They are within the region where you have greater quantity of these microprocessors that make computer what it is, that advances technology. If we come back to the southeast, and our political office holders will now begin to do what they ought to do, our coal is there wasting. We have good quantity of natural gas here. There shouldn't be unemployment in this part of Nigeria.
All right.
We can develop what we want to develop. Ogbete here, coal camp here, is capable of placing the southeast on the world map. Aba is capable of placing Nigeria on the world map. Nnewi here is capable of placing Nigeria on the world map. Enugu, Abakaliki. We have the capacity to even be the food hub of Nigeria. Why can't we copy people like Michael Onokara? Where is our farm settlement? Had we oil by the time we built Hotel Presidential? Had we oil by the time we built our NTA? Had we our oil by the time we built University of Nigeria? A number of things could happen. And then we have more psychological Biafra, where people will begin to emulate us. Let me tell you, the similarities between us and the Silicon Valley. We are the early adopters. We believed in shared prosperity. Oye Feze is a lawyer. Just serve your richer brother, your richer uncle. Those things were the things that made us different. We are entrepreneurial, just like the Silicon people.
All right, I have to cut you short and come straight to Ada Biafra. Now, the concept of psychological Biafra. What do you think about that concept? Basically, if I'm getting you correctly, Igwe, where we start to see ourselves as trying, not a physical Biafra, so to speak, but we try to progress.
Not Biafra created by definite boundary.
Not by definite
Biafra
boundary.
that people will envy to become part
and
of.
take along with them wherever
Yeah,
they go.
take along with them.
All
they
right.
can come back for what we can do.
All right, Ada Biafra, your response.
It's all right. You see, what Igwe is trying to tell us is only obtainable when you are in a conducive place, when you are in a place that you are welcomed. So many things are working against us. It's not even those of them who are governors or senators or whatever. So many things. Nigeria has dealt with us to an extent that we don't know where to go from here. We are talking about coal. Let us even talk about the security architecture of this country. Do you know that my brother, who is the governor, cannot do anything with whosoever that will be the commissioner of police of Enugu State? He will just be in that his tiny office, and the commissioner will be appointed from Abuja, and the commissioner will come to him and tell him, Oga, I have been appointed to come here. To the extent that if there is any security issue in that my tiny local government, Uzuwa and the local government, the governor cannot move the commissioner of police to go to Uzuwa and take action, excepting if that order, the command is coming from the federal. What are we talking about? We are a conquered territory. If we don't know, let us know. We are conquered.
All right, but Ada Biafra, sorry to cutting you short.
Okay.
So that because part of the discussion we are having is also for the benefit of posterity.
All right.
So so there are things. There are things. Yeah, you will.
Excuse me, just 1 minute.
Yes.
About what my sister said.
Yes.
Let me tell us that I had always said, though I love what you said, that you never acquiesce to violence. Let me tell you this. I have been one person. I've said it in this studio. I had said it in several radio houses. If we become more psychological, not attacking the image and ego of some people.
That's right.
It will become, because when you open your mouth so wide, attack people's ego,
That's right.
say what you shouldn't have said, let me tell you, a good leader should be able to be calm under the pressure or fire or pressure or pressure or fire.
That is
A
true.
good leader should be quite calm. The people you are leading shouldn't see obvious worry in you. You must be showing them that you are courageous. And what am I saying? We could come together like we have been saying it. They have even started hearing it. By now, if we had worked together, and we are talking about decentralized security architecture, I've been one person who has said this several times. What do we mean by restructuring Nigeria? This is the thing we have to be asking for. Because even when they were talking about an Igbo president, I told them with the present political architecture, the Igbo man will be more frustrated. He will use much of the money he will use to do what he ought to do lobby.
All right.
You get the thing?
Yeah.
So my sister and my brothers who watch us here, yes, by birth, I have no choice. I am a Biafra. But what Biafra do I want? I want a Biafra that will be as progressive as we are over the years.
Yes, and that's the point I'm making. By always complaining about what isn't working, is that the way forward?
No.
What can we do?
That is not.
What can Ndi Igbo do to actually make their situation better instead of blaming every other person but never taking responsibility for things that go wrong under their noses?
We have to take responsibility. That is true. And that is what we've been agitating. Let us take over this territory politically. If I go into election, I want to be the governor of Enugu State. And people who have the same spirit like me come and vote me in. I will begin to listen to them, to do those things that all of us have been advocating for. And not that somebody, because Biafra we talk about is a spirit, just like what you are saying. The spirit of a Biafra man is that of that entrepreneurship that you are talking about. I don't know if you understand. But thank God that Peter Mba has come. And he's trying to show us that it is possible. I don't know if you understand.
I do, my sister.
I am coming.
When you say let us take over this area politically.
Politically.
We are in charge politically, but do we have the political will?
We are not in charge politically.
So who's stopping?
We are not.
Who's stopping Ndi Igbo from taking charge politically?
It is the mentality, the mindset. It is the mindset that came with that war. It is, well, we are not like this before the war. We should know where our problem started. An average Igbo man was not like this before the war. Do you know that before the war, you are my brother. I cannot father a child. You will sleep with my wife. We will arrange you sleep with my wife, and my wife will bear me a child. And no ear will ever hear of it. I don't know if you understand. But after the war, we were reduced to nothing. A situation where when you have 20 million, 30 million, you will be given 20 pounds. Was that not right? And you have about 100 children or 10 children to take care of. We began to look for wealth by all means. And things begin to, begins to deteriorate. But we have lived too long in that state.
Yes.
That we should come back. And coming back is what you guys are doing. You are bringing us together. Because remember that they even said that pen is mightier than sword. Not to talk of this telephone or not to talk of this television. You are bringing us together. I want to encourage you to bring more Igbo people. Those of them who we call rich. Those of them who are in the diaspora. Those of them who have left us to just go about it anyhow. Let them come together. Like Igwe. Igwe is a leader. Let more Igwes, let more leaders come together. And let them begin to talk to the youths. Because the youths I was telling them, you left us. And that was why Nnamdi Kanu came. We came and we were able to brainwash the youths. And that is what they are saying. We began to curse. We began to abuse to know whether we can be heard. And thank God that you people are coming now. And now we said, enough of these abuses, enough of these curses. Let you people bring us together.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, time is already up. Unfortunately, we can't continue because time is already up. And we do have information that events have kicked up at Ekpa'S Square. Yeah, the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day has just kicked off. Of course, the parade has already started. They were getting reports from Afia TV's Marvelous Apwamaga, who is currently live at Ekpa'S Square, that the CP of the Enugu State Police has just arrived alongside other dignitaries as well. So we're seeing them gearing up for that march past. So we're going to be getting more insights live from there much later on today's broadcast. And I would like to thank you all for joining the AM show, special Remembrance Day edition today. And I'll leave you with this question. What do you think about calls for the Nigeria Civil War, the Biafra Memorial Day, to be seen as a day of thanksgiving instead of sober reflection? What do you think about that call? Let us know your thoughts under this video on YouTube, or perhaps under the live stream on YouTube at Afia News, and we'll take your reactions on tomorrow's show. I'll also be sure to get the reactions of our guests so that I'll tell you what exactly they said about it when you join us tomorrow morning. I've been your host, as always, Nathalie Uku.
And my name is Alex Obodo. Thank you for being there.
ndị ba nkwadalo dị n'enukwu si gee ya bụ ife ada Biafra kwuru maka ife nkwu bụ n'oge mbụ tupu anyị arapụ olu na-ege ya bụ ife bụ onye gburu nwanne ya bụrụ odogwu ịghọtago and onye na nwanne ya so wee na-achụ nta o wee gba nwanne ya egbe n'ọkpasị n'ọkpa ya dịka ọkpa ene ya marakwa na n'igwe niile jege n'ụzụ. Yes, ka ife were ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife ndị a niile ịnụ n'elu akwụkwọ ụbọchị nketa na Eastern News 24 drọpụrụ anyị fiche n'ụdị nke gị ngwa nke mesịa na ụmụnne m.